Welcome to a session on building a common language of a multi-tiered system of support. The contents of this session was created by a collaborative work group that includes DPI consultants from the Integrated Academic and Behavior Systems, the Exceptional Children's Division, and the Office of Charter Schools. The goals of this session is to build a common language of a multi-tiered system of support and make connections between the work you are currently doing with the critical components of a multi-tiered system of support. To go along with the presentation, there are 2 column notes that are located underneath the recording. You can use these notes and the video with your school leadership, special education, and regular education staff at your school.
So what is a multi-tiered system of support? Here you have the statewide definition of a multi-tiered system of support in North Carolina. You'll see that North Carolina's multi-tiered system of support is a multi-tiered framework which promotes school improvement through engaging, research-based academic and behavioral practices. North Carolina multi-tiered system of support employs a systems approach using data-driven problem solving to maximize growth for all. We invite you to take a moment and look at your 2 column notes and circle, underline, or highlight any words that are especially meaningful for you. One thing that you will notice that is missing from this definition is the word process. The word process, it seems to mean that there is a beginning and an end. And with a multi-tiered system of support, we are talking about total school improvement. And so you will notice the elimination of the word process, as there is no end to supporting all students and all staff. So next, we're going to go ahead and look at the vision for a multi-tiered system of support. Our vision is that every North Carolina pre-K through 12th public education system implements and sustains all components of a multi-tiered system of support. And this is to ensure college, career, and community readiness for all students. We invite you to take a moment and pause this recording and jot down some words for your own charter school's vision, and then to think about how that this vision aligns with the vision for a multi-tiered system of support. Next, we're going to look at our mission for a multi-tiered system of support. So our work is to prepare and support LEAs and all charter schools to implement a multi-tiered system of support for total school improvement by providing professional development, coaching and technical assistance, research and evaluation, and communication and visibility that results in college, career, and community readiness for all students. North Carolina Department of Public Instruction believes that multi-tiered system of support is the most effective and efficient approach to improving school outcomes and student performance, thereby ensuring equitable access to a sound basic education. As we do this work, our work as a state agency is to support you in implementing your charter's multi-tiered system of support. Next, we would like for you to think about this activity with your leadership and your leadership team. Remember, your leadership team would include both regular and special education staff, as well as your school's leadership. As you think about this particular prompt here on the page, we would like for you to start with you thinking about this. Maybe you have a sticky note with you and you're jotting down, how are we presently meeting the needs of all students in our charter school? Go ahead and pause this recording and think about, how are we presently meeting the needs of all students in our charter school? After you've completed your individual response, then go ahead and share your perspective with those who are listening to this recording. One way that you could do this is one person starts and they share their perspective. And then the person to their left shares his or her perspective and maybe adds to what the first person said. You could add a different perspective. You could elaborate what the person said beside of you, or you could pose a question. You can go ahead and pause this recording and complete this activity. One of the shifts in our thinking with the work of a multi-tiered system of support is moving our thinking and all of our staff's thinking from a process for some students to a framework for total school improvement. One of the things you'll notice on the right side is that the triangle is actually laid down, and it is to emphasize this layering of support. As you look at your 2-column notes, you'll notice that all students are a part of a multi-tiered system of support. We also know that a student doesn't enter into a multi-tiered system of support, and they're not exited from a multi-tiered system of support. A multi-tiered system of support is about analyzing how all students are responding to instruction. With this work, you will notice a significant focus on core, or what we call differentiated core, as a foundational layer for meeting the needs of all students within your charter school. So to go a little bit deeper around this idea of a layering of support, you're going to notice that our first layer, or our foundational layer, is the green triangle, and that is differentiated core. You'll notice that there's an additional layer on top of differentiated core, and that is supplemental support. And then you'll notice that there's a third layer on top of supplemental support, which is intensive support. One of the things that's really important, and that we've noticed as we've done this work across the state, is that many times students that are receiving supplemental support are actually removed from core instruction to receive this support. So we've really emphasized the importance of this layering, and that differentiated core is provided for all students. All staff are supported to provide differentiated core, and then for students that need additional support, this is actually provided in addition to core support. When we're thinking about core instruction, this is what happens in our classrooms every single day. We're thinking about both academic and behavioral progress, or all students meeting our standards and expectations. We're also thinking about what instruction and curriculum and our environment looks like vertically and horizontally throughout our buildings. A lot of students across the state receive these supports. Then a lot of times we end up problem solving a lot of individual students when something is actually in need of regarding our core instruction. Also, just to highlight, intensive support is not necessarily special education, and this is not necessarily all of our students with disabilities. Really, what determines the level or layer of support of a student is based off of using data. And we talk about using multiple sources of data to help us to know the layer and need of our students. So as we look at the next slide, we're going to start to think about how big that this work is. Many people, as they first start thinking about a multi-tiered system of support, they really focus on the 5th critical component, which is 3-tiered instruction and intervention. What we know for us to create an effective and sustainable system is that we actually need to work on all 6 of these critical components. Much of the work that you have been doing will fall into some of these critical components. Through the work with a multi-tiered system of support will help you to refine and become even more effective and efficient with each of these 6 critical components. As we think about supporting all students, we will have many conversations about how we're supporting all staff to do this work. We believe that as we go about this work, when we have an effective and efficient system, then our teachers are telling us, thank you. So just to clarify, we wanted to highlight a few things in terms of what MTSS is and what MTSS is not. A multi-tiered system of support is a framework, and we are implementing components that are evidence-based. This is not a new idea. This is really looking comprehensively at what research and evidence have told us works and organizing it into a house or a framework that meets the needs of all students and staff. Something that's very important is that this work, you'll notice, is very flexible in terms of what that it looks like at your charter school. This is not a specific program or one specific practice that you would be implementing. Also, as we're thinking about our components that are evidence-based, you're not going to hear us being real prescriptive about implementing one particular thing. What we'll do is we'll help you to look at what are the parts and pieces that there is evidence to support, and then we'll help to train and coach you to design what will work best for your charter school. We're also focused on having all students being able to access resources and supports as they need those resources. This means we're not talking specifically about a process or one pathway to special education services. What we are talking about is using multi-tiered system of support as an organizational tool for collaboration. This work is not isolated within one department or one area. We employ a problem-solving model, which helps us to focus on the factors that we, in fact, can change. And so those factors are things like instruction, curriculum, and environment across all classrooms, grade levels within our charter school. What we do not support is a wait to fail or a watch to fail model. We believe in building a system that is effective and is proactive. We want to anticipate problems before they start and then to have a responsive method for responding to those problems when they do arise. Also, a problem is just a difference between where we are and where we want to be. What we are not about is building a reactive system.
So here are some things that you are already doing in your charter school that aligns or can be supported through a multi-tiered system of support. Let's start with the instructional delivery model. What is your instructional model? Some schools use the Montessori approach, discovery, experience learning, or maybe project-based learning. Through MTSS, you will not be prescribed as to what model to use, but rather have the tools to determine how your instructional delivery model meets the needs of all of your students so that you can determine the needs and supports of your staff and students. Next is the charter application. Within your charter application, you are asked, how do you identify at-risk students and how do you provide supports to meet their needs? Through a multi-tiered system of support, you are able to use data to determine those needs and develop a professional development plan that will streamline resources to meet students' needs in a more efficient manner. Next is the LEA self-assessment. Think about those 6 core elements within the LEA self-assessment. Their policy and compliance and monitoring, fiscal management, IEP development, implementation and outcomes, problem solving for improvement, research-based instruction and practice, and communication and collaboration. These core elements from the self-assessment complement and are integrated within those 6 critical components of a multi-tiered system of support. Therefore, your goals for both of these should be aligned. The school improvement goals. Not everybody may have those school improvement goals, but everybody has some type of goals that the LEA is working towards. What are your goals of your school? What is your instructional focus and what PD are you currently providing to your staff? Through an MTSS, you can prioritize what your instructional focus should be based on that data evaluation. Next is those accountability measures. How are your students performing on the EOCs or the EOGs? Are all of your students at proficiency? Are all of your students making adequate growth? By using a data-based problem-solving method, you can ensure that all students are making the adequate growth. Then lastly is the SLD policy. Look back at the SLD memo from the EC Division in August of 2016. The EC Division strongly encourages the implementation of a multi-tiered system of support. The new SLD policy specifically includes 3 of the critical components of a multi-tiered system of support. They are data-based problem solving, 3-tiered intervention, and data evaluation. All LEAs across the state have to be prepared to implement this new SLD policy by July 2020. By actively participating in an MTSS cohort, all LEAs will be ready to implement that policy by July 2020. Next here is a training plan. As a multi-tiered system of support training has been provided across the state, charter schools participating in the cohorts have provided DPI with valuable feedback. Originally, the MTSS training was designed for district-level implementation. This district-level focus was not always meeting the needs of our charter schools. Charter schools would benefit from a training that is more specific to a school-level implementation. Therefore, the Integrated Academic and Behavior Systems, which is the MTSS state team, has started to design modules specific to that school-level implementation. Those modules will be ready by January 2018 that will better meet the needs of charter schools across the state. To provide support and technical assistance to charter schools, the Collaborative Work Group has put together some other training opportunities to build readiness for the upcoming module. From March to May, there will be invitations posted on the Multi-Tier System of Support wiki page, as well as the Office of Charter Schools weekly newsletter about MTSS webinars and Twitter chats. We are also collecting some stories from the field of charter schools who are currently participating in an MTSS cohort and implementing MTSS in their LEA. Through the webinars, Twitter chats, and stories from the field, we will highlight benefits, how to overcome obstacles, and tips for implementing a multi-tiered system of support within a charter school. In June, the Integrated Academic and Behavior Systems and the Exceptional Children's Division will be presenting at the Charter School Leadership Institute that is geared for those schools who are going through the Ready to Open process. While it's geared for those schools who are just opening, any charter school representative can sign up to attend. Look for the registration in the Office of Charter Schools newsletter to attend that session. From July to August, we will be providing information regarding the partnership agreement as well as how to select your school team. Then from September to November, we will be working with the charter schools in each region to submit their partnership agreement. What does it mean about participating in a module? And then in December, we will be sharing a preview of the upcoming module to those folks who have turned in their partnership agreement. So as you can see, we are trying to meet the needs to support implementing a multi-tiered system of support in the charter schools across the state. So what's next for you? What we would like for you to do is take this information that we've shared in this session back and begin a discussion with your school administration and or your problem-solving team to determine how you will implement a multi-tiered system of support at your school. Think about, what do we need to put in place? Who needs to be part of our team? What barriers may exist, and what benefits could we have by implementing a multi-tiered system of support? Lastly, we want your feedback. Without your feedback, we can't design appropriate supports to meet your needs and support you in implementing a multi-tiered system of support and meeting the needs of all students at your school. Therefore, look at these 3 questions. We would like for you to go to the link that is posted here on this slide, as well as it is posted in your 2-column notes. The first question we will ask you is, please note 3 important points that you would like to take from this presentation. Secondly, we would like for you to tell us, how does the multi-tiered system of support framework square up with what your charter school's mission or vision is? Then lastly, if you have any questions that concern you or you still have about a multi-tier system of support, or maybe some barriers that you don't know how to overcome, please list them in that third question of a question still circling around in my head. We will be using this feedback to be able to design and provide you support and technical assistance in implementing a multi-tiered system of support.
We thank you for your time, and also so that you know, the two of us that were talking, I'm Beth Boggs and I'm one of the MTSS Regional Consultants and have been fortunate enough to be a part of this charter collaboration work group that is a collaborative effort of the different divisions and departments that Ginger mentioned at the beginning. And my colleague is...
I'm Ginger Cash. I'm the intervention consultant for charter schools, and I'm with the Exceptional Children's Division, and I am also part of this charter collaboration work group.
Thank you so much for your time, and we're looking forward to reading your feedback.